There we go. I pushed record. Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I am at a new dining room table here in my kitchen area, and it's very high. It's like a bistro table, and I can't seem to get a landscape view with me and the table to do the working. And you'd think because it's a higher table it would be easier, but then when I lower the camera to be at the table area to show my work, then you can't see me. So this video is going to be vertical. Hello, my name is Sabrina. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. I am a shamanic witch, a medium, sometimes called a hedge witch, a green witch, and I'm here tonight because I want to show you how to make a necromancy oil. Now, as a medium, I've had things happen to me that I've had to figure out is what mediumship is about. And it has to do with summoning spirits and crossing spirits over, which is not like a television show, believe me. In my life, it happens once every, gosh, I can't even tell you how many years. But I do feel and sense spirits around me quite often on a regular basis. And they are my ancestors, my blood relatives. And sometimes, spirit will come around and sometimes, depending on the time of year. So, as a medium, I have a sensitivity to grief. I'm something of a grief counselor. Now, believe it or not, Halloween used to scare the bejeebies out of me. And so I had to dress up like a fairy or a princess. And a lot of times the things that we really fear are going to become our power. Now, I was attracted to witchcraft as a young girl for all the wrong reasons. I was very sensitive and having some troubles in school. But the word necromancy, I think, has gotten a bad rap, and I've just had to come to terms with it and learn that it means working with spirits, and in the sense that you want to call them to make contact. You wish to make contact in some way to communicate, to resolve an issue, and basically a lot of times to bring closure and let the spirit helpfully cross over. Now, in my experience, this has required the intervention of a spirit that helps with that. So I've come to realize that, I may myself be able to connect to the dead spirit with a story and have that spirit make itself known. But as far as crossing a spirit over who's been stuck here, I've only done that once to my knowledge. And I know that that was done with the help of Raphael. Now that's another story, but I want to try to explain working necromancy and calling on maybe a patron spirit to help you contact a deceased loved one is not a bad thing. The average person can do it. Spirits can come around people at different times, whether you're a medium or not. When they're a blood relative, they can make themselves known to you if they want to. There's all kinds of stories. But for many people, the idea of actually calling out to them and asking them to come here, make their presence known, is scary or taboo. Now, this is the second time of the year that the veil is thin enough for the average person to make contact with a deceased loved one. The other time is Easter. This is a time where it's starting to really get darker. So it can make it a little bit more conducive. Now, there's a couple of things that are happening that I think can be very beneficial. Number one, the full moon is tomorrow, and that's why I wanted to get this video out tonight. I don't know why I'm having trouble here. This is weird. So, tomorrow is Sunday, and it's a full moon. Now, the full moon is what's really wanted because it is ideal for summoning a spirit. Other than Wednesday, which I've talked about for summoning spirits, a full moon is really what is incredibly helpful in summoning a spirit and having them actually hang around for a while, believe it or not. Now, this happened by accident, and I had to find out what was going on. And depending on how long you actually spend focusing on that individual and that loved one, if you've spent an hour or more, then they're probably going to be able to hang around you longer. And they can make their presence known in different ways. A lot of times this is really called ancestor worship because we take out their picture and we use stones and incense and we talk to them. There's different ways to just honor them on Samhain by putting their picture out at the dining room table, setting a place for them, honoring them. This is very healthy. I've said before, we can't know where we're going if we don't know where we've been. And one of the benefits of acknowledging your deceased ancestors is to remember them and maintain that connection. You never know when there might be a time that they feel you are now open and receptive to them coming to you in a dream. And that is the safest way for the average person to contact their deceased loved ones. However, they could come around at this time. Now, Sunday is very good for actually having spirit manifest in this physical plane easier, I have found. So tomorrow, Sunday, on a full moon, I'm going to make some necromancy oil. This is a black candle. I'm trying to make my videos shorter, if you've noticed. YouTube was saying to me, do you want to just make this a short? And so I finally kind of got the hint, and I might have to go get a spaghetti to light this. This is a vigil candle from the Dollar Tree, and sorry. You could prepare this in preparation for Halloween night. So, my name is Sabrina, if I didn't say that already. And I do have an Etsy shop called Astarte Apothecary. And I now have a collection of oils. So, I had talked about making an incense for Samhain. And I'm still probably going to do that. But I didn't feel it was the right time. So since I've been making oils, I've decided I'm going to make a necromancy oil. You can call it an ancestor oil. You can call it a Samhain oil. You do want to have a candle handy while you're making this. Now, oils are very versatile. But incense is definitely a powerful way to signal to spirit. Spirit sometimes shows up like smoke. So, you know, it's sympathetic magic. And so this can encourage a spirit to come around and possibly even see the face of the person in the smoke, especially if you've been filming or taking pictures, then later on you could see it. But I'm going to leave a link to a video that I made at least 4 years ago when I was living in my mobile home on how to create a crystal grid and contact your ancestors, how you would do it, why you might want to do it. Okay, you might want to call on someone who has a particular skill that you need help. You want to call on them to assist you with something that you're doing, and maybe you didn't even know them, but you want to call on them to ask them to please guide you and help you with this particular thing you're doing. Maybe you're fixing a car and they were a mechanic. See what I mean? So you want to light a candle. What I'm going to try to do here today is use a different oil than I normally use for my ritual oils. Normally I use olive oil. This is grapeseed oil. So I thought I'd go ahead and take one of my 1 fluid ounce bottles with a dropper. I love these. And see if I can get this little funnel to assist me in pouring just a little bit of grapeseed oil. The wonderful thing about grapeseed oil is that it's very lightweight. So if you wanted to use this to anoint your third eye and your throat to assist you with psychic vision, clairvoyance, and communicating with your deceased loved one, this is going to soak in very quickly like jojoba oil. It's not going to be thick and, you know, linger and stay on there longer. The grapeseed oil just soaks right in. Now you're going to need just 2 things basically, and that is mugwort and sandalwood. And I use red sandalwood. You could maybe use white sandalwood. I don't think I've ever used white sandalwood. Sandalwood is traditionally used to bring around spirits of deceased loved ones. And so it has a very strong correspondence to that. I've made a video talking about an experience I had one time when some people were burning sandalwood and I saw some spirits. They came out in the hallway and made themselves known, and I smelled sandalwood. Now some people use wormwood. Mugwort is in the family of wormwood, but wormwood is very strong. It's a hallucinogen. I don't recommend that anyone who's not advanced work with wormwood right now. Mugwort is going to be helpful, believe it or not. You are going to have to get yourself into a calm state of mind anyway, and that's going to happen with you lighting a candle now and maybe tomorrow when you decide to do this working. Actually, if you have already got some sandalwood and that's all you've got, that's all you need. Now what I did was grind some in my grinder that I use for grinding my spices and my incense and my flowers and such, a little bit in my blender. And so it's got some shards, not shards, but some wood in pieces and a little bit of powder. So there's just a little bit of grapeseed oil in there in the bottom of this now. And so then I'm going to go ahead and take some red sandalwood. There's some powder in the bottom of this lid here. And I'm going to take a couple of pinches of that. Now, this is not going to have enough time to really infuse with the oil and become strong. So I recommend that if you're going to do working tomorrow, like I really show you on the video that I'm going to leave a link for you to watch on how to actually set up and get ready to communicate with your deceased loved one. but you'll have this on hand. So when you burn this, you're going to be able to smell the sandalwood on a charcoal disc. You'll have to get a charcoal disc. And then I've got a little mugwort. Mugwort is kind of like Spanish moss. You see that? Can you see that? It's mossy. So I'm going to put that in there. And I'm just working on a black plate here. And then the plate helps to catch on the little stray droppings. And then I can put them back in. And then you're just going to go ahead and fill up the rest of the bottle. With oil. Now, if you don't have grapeseed oil, you can use olive oil. You can use almond oil if you have that. You can use, I think, sesame seed oil. I would not use really cheap corn oil. I think you could use vegetable oil. I think that would be all right. Now let me take a look and see how this looks right now. When you shake it up, oh, that looks nice. Look at that. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and add some more grapeseed oil. Then I think I'm going to stop the film for a minute and go get a charcoal disc and show you how to burn that, just in case you don't know. Perfect. Now you don't want to get your bottle so full that when you put the dropper in, it's going to overflow. So see, I've got some space at the top there. So then when I put the dropper in and I close it, it's full. Now you're only going to use a few drops on a candle when you're ready to work. So basically that's it for the oil. So let me go get a candle and a charcoal disc, and then I'll quickly show you how you would start a working tomorrow to open the door and invite someone to come in that you might really need to have some closure with, because you've been grieving or you've been hanging on for too long, and that needs to be settled. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm basically going to show you how to use the oil. When you go watch my other video, you'll see how to set up your space in order to get ready to communicate with your deceased loved one. Now here I have a blue candle, which I think that this is a really good color. Now that I have this available in my bedroom, I think this is a very good color. I've got some charcoal, a little tiny piece of charcoal here on a piece of dirt that looks like it's about ready to go. So you want to set the stage really by starting to burn some incense, okay? And you're just going to take some of the pieces of sandalwood. And as you see, they start to burn immediately. And boy, you can smell that sandalwood. I mean, this is basically a calling card to spirit, okay? Now, if you are ready and you need to have closure, you need to ask a question to a deceased loved one, this is what you want to do. Now, if you're sensitive to smoke, obviously you're not going to want to keep doing this for the entire time that you're going to be calling on a person. and wanting to communicate with them. But you want to have enough where you can kind of start to hypnotize yourself, right? As to what it is that you're doing, you're relaxing, you've been thinking about them, and you might see an image in the smoke, or you might see it later. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the wormwood there. That's a pretty big, tiny little, oh, look at that bunch there. Open the window if you have to, because this is a necessary part of doing this type of work. And when you're done, the person might decide to come to you in a dream. Now, the beauty of working with an oil is that you can use an oil warmer. So you would put a tea light candle inside your oil warmer, and then you would take some of your necromancy oil, and put it on there. Make sure you've got enough so that the heat from the candle doesn't evaporate it too fast. Grapeseed oil is not as thick as olive oil, so it's not going to be burning as long as olive oil. So then you want to take your candle. Now you can anoint your candle. You can put a drop on your finger, and you can anoint your third eye and your throat while you're thinking about your desire to open yourself up to this, because you need to. You have an emotional need. You are grieving, and it's time for this to be resolved. And then you're just going to roll the candle in that oil, and you can go from top to bottom because you want to attract this to you. And then put it in the candle holder and light the candle. And this is also going to help attract, because it's got the essence of the mugwort and the sandalwood in it. Now, I've got this on my hands, and that's good. So I can use my hands as well to talk. I might not burn any more smoke, but I've got the candle and I've got the necromancy oil on my hands. You can touch the top of your head, the candlestick, and you know it's on the candle. And I recommend that you spend some time, you've got to spend some time at this space that you are wanting to use, that you've set up to communicate and say what you want to say. So if you've got them set out at the table to join you with dinner and you've got candles, no one will know if you've put some necromancy oil on one of the candles. And then you can even say in your mind, as you've been working, your own working in your at the space you made, to give you a sign. Might be a special sign between you and that person, and it might happen that evening. If you ask them to make themselves known that evening, doing something, and electronics will definitely be affected when spirit comes around, because they use that energy. They use that. So yeah, don't be freaked out if the TV comes on or goes off, or the electric battery garbage can opens, or the microwave goes beep, or lights start flickering. That's just a sign of them being there. So you might get accustomed to this, because I think that this is going to become our new normal. If we are all wanting to have connection, many people are sad. They have been since the pandemic, even before. Well, it's worse since the pandemic. Things are still topsy-turvy and crazy. And so we have a lot of desire to really connect to a simpler time maybe, or to our ancestors. And this, when it's used in the proper way, and you're not intending to cling to someone because you're lonely, you don't want them to feel like they have to be around because you're so emotionally attached. This might be a time where you just can really make closure to this and, in a sense, cut the cord to your emotional attachment to that person. But allow the door to remain open if there's a time that they need to come back and guide you or give you a message. That's the secret. You know, it's not to open the door all the time or close the door all the time. So yes, this can be very beneficial. And that's it in a nutshell for now. And I think that that's all you need to know, except to go and watch the video that I made on how to create a grid in a sacred space and light the candles, light the incense, and what to say and why you may want to do this. All right? Thank you very much. I hope that you will comment if you do this on an annual basis or throughout the year, maybe on a full moon. And if you have found this helpful, and especially after you watch the other video, and then maybe come back and share in a few days or a week how it's going. Okay? Blessed be, and I'll talk to you soon.